Hello and welcome to another edition of Islamic Finance Weekly on Web TV. This edition will be focusing on the evolution of Islamic finance in Nigeria, the performance of the two Sukuk bonds issued in 2017 and 2018, and the 2020 outlook of Islamic finance market in Nigeria. With me to discuss on the topics is Dr. Jubril Salawuddin, the principal partner of Secure Huda Limited. Good to have you on this program, sir.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Speaking on development around Islamic finance, how will you describe the evolution of Islamic finance in Nigeria since 2011?
Well, speaking about the evolution of Islamic finance in Nigeria from 2011, it has had an interesting and an organic development, which is quite good for it. At inception, we've seen the licensing of a full-fledged Islamic bank, the licensing of 2 windows, which unfortunately one of them has been returned back. And we've seen also the licensing of 5 takaful company, 2 microfinance company, Islamic microfinance company. We've seen the issuance of Sukuk bond. We've seen the a finance company, Lotus Capital, that has come out very strong. We've seen Hududullah has come out very strong, and a few others. And we've seen also efforts by individuals and institutions trying to build up the knowledge base of Islamic finance across Nigeria. We've seen 2 universities offering postgraduate program. We've seen an Institute for Islamic Finance Professional, providing professional certification and examination on Islamic finance, and a couple of other people that are doing very well. Of course, we've also found a few consultants here and there on Islamic finance.
Can you share with us the role Secure Huda Limited is playing in promoting Islamic banking in Nigeria and Africa?
Well, for Secure Huda Limited, what we do is that we focus more on 3 verticals. One is manpower development. So we provide the needed knowledge for the industry. We train, we retrain, and we point the way through seminars and product design for the industry. We do that. Not only in Nigeria, we've done training in Ethiopia, we've done training in Ghana, we've done training in Kenya. So when you look at Africa, you say we've done something around of Africa. Beyond that, we also make sure that we participate actively in the promotion and the roadshow of Islamic finance in Nigeria, such that we take the knowledge to the critical area where it is needed, particularly in the areas of takaful, which is Islamic insurance, educate the people, tell them what they need to do, and also engage stakeholders. So between the operators in the industry, the customers, the regulators, we try to engage everybody.
Speaking on the operation of Secure Huda Limited, was there any challenges since inception?
Yeah, of course. We have challenges at inception because we had knowledge gap. At a point, we discovered that we do not have sufficient people that have both the knowledge of in the industry as it were in Nigeria, as well as the overall focus on Islamic finances in Nigeria. So we had to go back, retrain people, give them better exposure, and realign them to the industry.
How will you describe the performance of the Sukuk since the first 2 were issued in 2017 and 2018?
Well, let's start with the Sukuk bond of the 2017. The Sukuk bond of 2017 was oversubscribed. I guess about 100 billion naira, oversubscribed. But then we were so happy to see that. The challenge is that most of the subscription didn't come from retail. They were all corporate bots, particularly from the pension fund. And it took a long time to have the trading on the secondary markets for this Sukuk. So what we hope to see is that we want to see more investors who are willing to trade on their Sukuk rather than buy and keep. So if we're able to achieve that, then we will have been able to make considerable focus. But I think by and large, these are fantastic exposure. The second Sukuk also took toll on the first Sukuk, which means a lot of people also bought, oversubscribed, okay? And the country could also feel, the people could feel the effect of the Sukuk on the infrastructural development in the country. When you go around this country, you can see signages saying, this is where your Sukuk funds are, on different roads, on different bridges, and this is quite welcoming.
What is your 2020 outlook for Islamic finance market in Nigeria?
Well, the Islamic finance market in Nigeria is a subset of the overall financial market in the country. So part of what we intend to see next year is to see more of capacity development, more of exposure, awareness in terms of Islamic finance in Nigeria needs to be done. The operators talking about the banks, the takaful company, the investment companies, the microfinance company, and most importantly, the people who have come forward now and said they want to even put together a Kordal Hassan style microfinance company needs to make sure that it is popularized. Again, we must understand that Islamic finance is not just for Muslims. Islamic finance is for the entire humanity. All the principles that you find today in Islamic finance, you can find it in the Jewish scripture as well as in the Christian scripture. So it's an alternative financing system for the entire populace to use. Again, we need to, as a nation, take a position now, 2020, to make Nigeria a hub for Islamic finance in Africa. If we don't do this quickly, we might lose that position.
With the planned visits of the President of Islamic Development Bank, what do you think should be the focus of discourse with Nigeria?
Well, it is good that the Islamic Development Bank President wants to make another visit to Nigeria, which is good. I think it's an opportunity for us to showcase what we've done so far. Only yesterday, Al-Akhwat did a presentation to the Islamic Development Bank, for which the president of the Islamic Development Bank was also there. And it took a standing ovation for what they've done. So what we need to do is also to make sure that we package properly our achievement in the last couple of years and do a presentation. Area where we need support, especially in the area of human capital development, should also be showcased. The role of the press and what the press should do in Islamic finance development, as well as the branding aspect of it, should also be put forward, such that we are seen as people who know exactly what we're doing and who are ready to actually say Africa must move forward and Africa should actually provide the infrastructure for Africa.
From your point of view, you talk about human capital development. What about SMEs in Nigeria?
Well, you don't fund a business that you do not have a knowledge about. The first thing you do is that we look at, okay, we want to fund this particular line of businesses. Now, we wouldn't want to go back to what the conventional finance have done, wherein you just give in the money and you say, no, I wait whatever the performance of the business as long as I take my interest. Now, the knowledge must be that we understand the business. When we understand the business, we then fund the business. And the business in turn will now accumulate and aggregate together for the overall development of the country. And so that is what we want to see. We want a financing system that will develop our nation. We want a financing system that will provide employment for our people. We want a financing system that will build our healthcare infrastructure, our road infrastructure, our educational infrastructure, and other infrastructure that are needed for critical national development. And that is what we need. And we think that Islamic finance should be able to do some of this. Islamic finance, by the way, is not a solution for all the ailments in this country. But in the area where it can help, we want it to kick in. We want it to perform the role that it has performed in other nations of the world, where development has come in, and that's exactly what we want it to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jubril, for your contributions. It was an interesting discussion with you. And that will be all for today's edition of this program. You can send questions and comments to news@proshendu.com and reporter@proshendu.com. Also, you can engage us on our social media handles displaying on the screen. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.